evil. I'm necessary evil.
Hi everyone and welcome to Priority Holder, and today we'll be playing Colorless Superfriends in the Timeless format, and this happens to be a 100th video. Now my very first video was Colorless Superfriends in the Explorer format, and I'll link that there in case you want to watch it, and don't judge me too harshly. Hopefully I've gotten a little bit better since then. But I've always been fond of Superfriend strategies, and this one allows you to pack a ton of value into your mana base because you can just play all the best utility like Blast Zone, Buried Ruin, Inventors Fair, Mutavault, Radiant Fountain, you get the idea. But notably, we get 8 untapped Surveil lands by going all colorless, so it gives us incredible selection. And the main benefit of running all these colorless lands is Forsaken Monument, which among the other great things it does, it lets your colorless permanents tap for an additional colorless. So it's a mana doubler in this deck if we built our mana base correctly. Now you may notice that both this and the One Ring only have 3 copies. That's because we're rocking Karn the Great Creator as one of our super friends, whose minus lets us fetch an artifact from outside the game, which in this case, best of one is our 7-card sideboard. So we have some utility. We have an extra One Ring and Forsaken Monument. So we functionally have like 7 copies of these in our deck, as well as like some extra closers and utility and a land if we need it. So that's Karn's role in this deck. Sort of does a little bit of everything. And we're also running Ugin the Spirit Dragon. This is like our big closer and like a wrath effect, and just anyway, it does it all. It's super strong and not hard to get to once we slam this down. Like it's trivial actually. We're also running Baby Ugin, which does some removal threats and also a little bit of cost reduction in there. And have to mention newcomer Devourer of Destiny. Now this is like Colorless's Once Upon a Time. If it's in your opening hand, it does like a really cool card selection effect and plays really nicely along with Ugin, Big Ugin, with Ugin's Labyrinth. And so this is like a soul land if we tuck a big enough colorless card underneath it, and it can just boost our mana production. And the filthiest thing you can do with it is to turn 1 Chalice of the Void. And so this is an XX artifact that enters with X charge counters, and whenever any player casts a spell with mana value equal to number of charge counters on Chalice, counter that spell, which turns out to be super strong in Timeless because all the best cards cost 1 mana. You got Thoughtseize, Dark Ritual, Swords to Plowshares, Ocelot Pride, Ragavan, you know, many more. So this shuts those down in their tracks, and you can even put it on X equals 2 if you want and shut down even more stuff. So that's why we have no 1-drops in this deck. We have some ramp, and Kozilek's command does a little bit of everything, and the 0/1 Scions are actually pretty nasty if you have a Forsaken Monument in play. So I love this deck. I'm super excited for it. Let's jump into some games. 1-landers and obvious mulligan in this sort of big mana deck. Let's see if this looks better. Yeah, this looks much better. Question is what to put back. I think we definitely put one of the ramp pieces back, since we would rather just make our land drops and like ramp through one of them. We have a turn 3 One Ring if we're not interrupted. So playing against a Lurrus deck, and you know, I'm gonna go ahead and bin the land. It seems like we can do better than that. Would love to find a Chalice considering their Lurrus deck. Alright, Mishra's Bauble from the opponent. They're gonna take a peek at what's going on over here. Alright, and then tap land, pass to us. Alright, they saw our Guardian Idol. I'm just going to play Radiant Fountain and play the Guardian Idol and pass. So, barring like a Thoughtseize, we're going to be able to One Ring. Alright, so Surveil land makes that. Oh yeah, and then Tamiyo. Okay, so very happy to see that. It is a powerful card, but it doesn't do like anything to us. Alright. That was a Flare of Denial check right there. One Ring is online. We're going to draw just to dodge any Bowmasters. Alright, they're going to attack and get their Clue token. And let's see what their follow-up is. Brainstorm. Okay, so they're flipping Tamiyo right now. And that's the combo, is like when you draw your 3rd card, you transform Tamiyo. And you know, she's a pretty good Planeswalker, but like we're going much, much bigger than that. And they're going to probably just try and march her up to her ultimate. Alright, so they're passing with 2 mana open. Ring's going to ding us. Drawing a land is nice. Now before casting anything, I'm going to activate One Ring here to try and bait them to use their mana, because I really want to land a Forsaken Monument if we can. And this is what I was hoping for. Normally you don't hope to One Ring into a Bowmasters. Like I said, we're going so huge in this deck. We just don't want our stuff countered. Like this, they're probably running like mana drains and stuff like that. So we're gonna happily eat some Bowmaster's damage. Not to mention we have stuff like Radiant Fountain and Forsaken Mind. Like we can really gain the life back. And going to go ahead and play a Surveil land, Devourer of Destiny. I mean, considering we're landing Forsaken Monument, that's like going to be live for us. So Monument is going to double all of our colorless sources, or give them an additional colorless, I should say. So we're pretty happy with how that turned out. Now Bowmasters is going to start adding up with the One Ring, or opponent plays another Goyf, passes with 3 mana open. Inventors Fair is going to gain us some. I really wonder if I should be playing more than one. I'm hesitant to go too heavy on legendary lands, but it is pretty nice because it can search up like One Rings and stuff. Blast Zone is going to be incredible against them should we ever need to use it. Now one thing to remember is that under Forsaken Monument, Mind Stones are mana neutral because you play them for 2 mana and then you could tap them for 2 mana. So we're going to start off with all of the Mind Stones. Now opponent has something, they have a clue, like maybe that's why they're holding priority. I'm going to use Devourer of Destiny because it has a cast trigger. So we're going to try and get rid of the Bowmasters and draw our cards safely. Okay, so we do get rid of it. Let's see if the opponent counters. Nope. So that gets us an 8/8. It's getting boosted off Forsaken Monument. So we're going to activate the ring and run into another Bowmasters. Now this is starting to add up a bit now, and their Orc army is going to get pretty massive once they resolve all their triggers. But once again, like we're going so big, like we don't care too much, and as long as we can keep casting color spells, we'll be able to gain life. Now their army is almost matching us. Now I'm going to check the sideboard here just to make sure, just to see whether it's worth playing Karn right here. Like we obviously have the mana, but I'm trying to think like what's best in this situation. And I really almost didn't play Karn, but I was like, you know what, like it gets us 2 more life. It gets another like threat into play. And we only have 1 more spell in hand. So I'm going to go ahead and use Karn the Great Creator's Minus. And I'm going to get another like super strong removal spell with Cityscape Leveler. And both of our removal spells in hand are on cast. So like even if they counter them, we're going to still get rid of something. So they opt to use Tamiyo to bring back Brainstorm. So they're sort of fishing for something. Alright, so they're going to be able to fetch Mystic Sanctuary. Okay. I need to try out one of these sort of blue-black mid-range decks, like with Mystic Sanctuary and all this good stuff. Sheoldred's Edict is real bad for us. We're glad we ended up casting the Karn just to pad our life a bit. I mean, the opponent has a ton of damage right here, and they take down Karn. We eat a huge hit, and they still have 2 mana open. So we're gonna gain our life off Inventors Fair. Get dinged by the One Ring. I'm going to lead with casting Cityscape Leveler and to kill Bowmasters just to open up once again the One Ring. So, alright, so Bowmasters gets eaten up and the opponent does have a mana drain. Okay, so they're going to mana drain our Leveler. We do gain the life off the Forsaken Monument though, but we are able to safely One Ring, and finally we draw our Sledgehammer, Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Gonna go ahead and play Ugin's Labyrinth. Like we have an excess of Devourers in hand, so we're just gonna up the mana production and slam an Ugin, gain a little life. And before I activate, I'm just double checking the mana values, and yeah, they pack it in. So if you like seeing Colorless Superfriends dominate, please relic bury the like button. We're on to the next one. That worked out quite nicely. We have a turn 0 Devourer trigger, so alarm bells are probably already going after the opponent. Alright, they're gonna Faithless Looting. This Chalice is looking super juicy, so we'd love an Ugin's Labyrinth right here, be able to get them right away, but I mean, like, we could keep the One Ring. We don't need land, we got plenty of land, so like, I think about it, but I'd really, really love to get an Ugin's Labyrinth, so I end up just not keeping any of them, just treat it as like a Scry 4 to the bottom, and we just end up getting another land, so maybe we should have kept the One Ring. Now here's an interesting choice. You can see me hesitate here about whether I should keep the second Chalice of the Void, and I opt not to. I think that might have been a mistake against black decks like Grief and Thoughtseize could just take it, and then all of a sudden we don't have them locked out, you know. So opponent's gonna bring back their Bloodghast and then hit us with Thoughtseize. So there goes Chalice of the Void. So it would have been so clutch to keep it on top and then sort of Chalice lock them out right now. We're gonna have to pivot to a new plan right here. I'm gonna surveil that away. This is a minor mistake here, but I should have played Guardian Idol since it comes into play tapped. Mind Stones you can keep. Oh wow, Dark Ritual from the opponent. So, and Demonic Tutor. Okay, looking pretty bad. All right, so it looks like they just grabbed a Reanimate to put Vein Ripper into play, which is a pretty nasty threat. So we're gonna have to hurry and find a way to deal with that. Radiant Fountain looking pretty nice here. Just gain a bit of life. Gonna play the Mind Stone. Gonna play Guardian Idol. So we will have a ton of mana. Like we're already up to 6 mana. We're gonna hit 7. The problem is the Ward ability on Vein Ripper requires you to sack a creature. So we need something in play to sacrifice it to successfully kill the Vein Ripper. All right, Karn is interesting. So thinking here. So originally, I was gonna. This is where I realized I don't actually have 8 mana. I was gonna Karn 1 ring, but then I realized, oh wait, that's not gonna work. So then I was gonna. Then I decided to Devourer of Destiny, hit the Bloodghast. So I'm trying to just get the creature in play. Once again, we can't target Vein Ripper yet. Now there was an alternate line I could have done by animating Mutavault, casting Ugin, and killing Vein Ripper, sacking Mutavault. That might have been better because we would have gotten rid of it turn sooner. As it stands, we fall to 5. And the other tricky part about Vein Ripper is that it has a passive of whenever any creature dies, it does a drain 2, which you can see we're at 5 life. That's going to be pretty bad for us. So we will be able to use Ugin right now. Now, we can still do the Mutavault trick here. I do consider it for sure. I end up just deciding to sack the Devourer. Like, it does put them under a quick clock, but like we really have use for our mana in this deck. Like Karn can put it together. We have so many like big mana plays, so I end up just sacking the 6/6. Like it, you know, it is costly. Maybe I should have kept it in play because it threatens them so much. But I don't know. Like you'll see in these games like how much we need the mana for like playing huge stuff and playing a ton of stuff. So. We fall to 1, so we're just hoping to fade a Lightning Bolt here. Alright, so opponent is going to Faithless Looting. They're trying to reset up something. Alright, so they pitch a couple lands, and they pass back to us. Inventors Fair. Eventually will gain us some life, so just trying to think of how to do this. So the small Ugin is giving a discount on our Karn. So we have like... We can basically cast almost anything on our wish board because of that. Alright, so we're just going to make a manifest token and slam Karn the Great Creator. Now, there is an argument for grabbing Forsaken Monument right now. But I'm a little worried about them because they have so much life. They can just reanimate something else and get going. Or maybe, like, what if they buried alive, put a bunch of Bloodghast in the graveyard? You know, like, something bad like that could happen. So I end up just grabbing Tormod's Crypt just to protect ourselves. And just pass. I'm just trying to stop any reanimates. But the thing is, I maybe should have just used it on our turn because they have 2 Faithless Lootings in the bin. And that's going to allow them to sort of stay in the game, keep doing proactive stuff. So we're going to gain our life and still surviving. So I don't know if they even play bolts in this reanimator deck, but it is a little uneasy being at 2 life. Now we're going to grab the Forsaken Monument, and happy we have a spell in hand, so I'm going to cast it, and cast Guardian Idol, and this is our last like Lightning Bolt check before we clear it, and okay, so we do clear it, so we get up to 4 life, and now what is the question? So we're definitely going to just plus Ugin, and get another Manifest token. Decide to use our abundant. So now that we have Forsaken Monument, we're going to be generating tons of mana. So we're going to start cracking Mind Stones here. We have tons of mana. Now we need some cards. Alright, Ugin's Labyrinth is not helpful at this point. We're going to crack the other Mind Stone. See if we get anything better. And Radiant Fountain's pretty good because we want all the life we can get at this point. Now, what I'm going to do is attack them for quite a lot, because Forsaken Monument boosts colors creatures. Mutavault is going to be a 4/4, and Guardian Idol is also going to be a 4/4. So we're going to be able to slap them for 12 damage right here. So opponent's going to need something nice, or we're just going to like kill them like real quickly. Alright, no removal from them. Alright, so the opponent falls to 10. We're feeling a lot better. We still have Tormod's Crypt protecting us from their graveyard. Dark Ritual, okay. And let's see what their follow-up is. Faithless Looting. Once again, we could have gotten rid of those earlier, but... Alright, so there's a Bloodghast. Alright, there's a Sorin. Alright, so... Do they have a Vampire in hand is the question. Alright, they are going to minus Sorin. And I'm expecting another Vein Ripper, but I'm very surprised to see Saint Elenda, which is an alchemy card. So they get to grab something in the spellbook and then free cast it. And it's just an Inspiring Cleric. So like, I thought it was, I was like, do they have some sort of lava axe in there? They're going to try and kill us, but she also creates an avatar in there in a step equal to the life they gain. So I mean, that's a pretty dang good play, putting 3 creatures into play. But we happen to draw a Kozilek's command, and we have a lot going on. And so just trying to make sure I do both the math for combat damage and the math for mana to see if we can truly kill them this turn. So I'm going to cash in small Ugin, kill Saint Elenda. Then I'm going to Kozilek's command, and we can do it for X equals 0 to take care of the avatar, but I'm going to pad it a little bit just so we can like draw a card off it. Alright, we get a Scry first, so we're going to draw 1 ring. Speeding through this part because it just takes some time to animate all the different creatures, make sure it doesn't incorrectly tap. But we have so many Mutavaults and Guardian Idols, like, we have sort of incidental ways to win the game, and Karn plus animated the Forsaken Monument, and we lock up the win against Reanimator, so that felt pretty nice. Move on to the next one. Love to see a Chalice hand. Hidden Grotto. There's the Devourer of Destiny, not in our hand where we wanted it, but gonna go ahead and bin it right here. We are so far away from casting it. Let's see what the opponent has cooked up. Alright, Forest, Llanowar Elves. Could be a lot, could be like Ponza, could be Elves, could be some other ramp strategy, but obviously they have some number of 1-drops, so we're gonna just Chalice on 1 and pass. So they can still cast the 1-drops, but Chalice is going to counter them. And, you know, against tribal decks running Cavernous Souls, like, Chalice doesn't really do anything. But so the opponent played Ilzian Caryatid, Theros Beyond Death, Limited All-Star. Can tap for 2 mana if you have a creature power 4 or greater. And normally you'd run something more efficient like Delighted Halfling, but, I mean, the Caryatids get around Chalice, so what do I know? And they slam a Polukranos, so opponent's playing like mono green Stompy, a little bit of ramp element. Maybe they're trying to like transform Polukranos. All right, there's a Questing Beast. Not at all worried though. They're about to get smashed for a ton of damage because thanks to Forsaken Monument, we have Ugin the Spirit Dragon locked and loaded, and Radiant Fountain for good measure is going to help pad our life total. So gonna slam Ugin. Double checking the mana values to make sure I'm not missing anything. So we just need an X of 4 to take down everything they have. Alright, so we nuke their whole board. And gonna go ahead and cast a Guardian Idol. And pass. Let's see what the opponent has as a follow-up. Elder Gargaroth. Okay, so the opponent is going pretty big in their sort of stompy deck over there. Now we can just slam our second Spirit Dragon and just take care of Gargaroth, but it honestly doesn't seem that threatening. The reason is because we have both Mutavault and Guardian Idol, which under Forsaken Monument are 4/4s. So we have an 8-power double block lined up. I mean, what's the opponent supposed to do? Like, obviously they're going to try and fight the good fight right here. They're going to fight or attack Ugin. We're going to, I mean, Guardian Idol's not the most common thing unless you play like a bunch of Historic Brawl or something like that. So we're going to animate both our creatures and do exactly what I said. Double block the Gargaroth Now, used an odd number of mana, so I'm going to use one of it right now to crack a Mind Stone. Once again, we have plenty of mana now that Forsaken Monument's online. So we're going to double block the Gargaroth. If the removal spell here would blow us out, but it ends up working out. We're going to crack the other Mind Stone and draw a Blast Zone. It's helpful. Another Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So, I mean, it doesn't seem necessary to, like, play them out right here. I mean, maybe we can, but we could also, like, Chalice for 2 right here to try and lock them out even more. Playing it real cautious because I do know they have questing beasts, and, like, we'll be able to ultimate Ugin soon. So maybe we should be attacking with our animating creatures, but we just playing it safe. The opponent's going to play an elf into Chalice. It's going to get countered, and that's going to be enough for them. So solid showing against green Stompy, and we move on to the next one. Now that was a decent hand, but I noticed we were playing against a Lurrus deck, so I wanted like mulligan into a Chalice if possible. And so now we got a Chalice and Devourer if we can. So we could grab, like, we could keep the extra Chalice on top since we're playing like maybe a Thoughtseize deck. I end up doing that because it makes it so we're not going to get an Ugin's Labyrinth super early, but it gives us a backup Chalice for the Lurrus deck. So, alright, Mishra's Bauble from them. This looks familiar. And so Chalice of the Void is especially potent against Lurrus since we know all their stuff's 1 or 2 mana value, barring like Mishra's Bauble, you know, which we can also Chalice for if we wanted to. So this is like a Spell Pierce check right here. Just going to play Chalice on 1 and it resolves. And, you know, they're a Lurrus deck that's going to be locking out some number of cards in their hand. Alright, so Undercity Sewers from the opponent. And they pass with 2 mana open. Okay, we keep drawing big clunky stuff. So the question is here is, do we play another Chalice? And I go ahead and do it because maybe they have artifact removal like Angrass Rampage or what's their other recent one that's red-black. Anyway, there are ways they can get rid of a Chalice, so I decided to play out an extra one just to really protect from their 1-drops. But they have a Bowmasters, which is not like a huge threat against us. Alright, so they're going to crash in with Bowmasters. Let's see what their follow-up is. Nothing. Okay. And we have Blast Zone, so we're feeling pretty safe. Now, we are missing lands. Like, we are going to need to find something, or else Bowmasters will just kill us. So, Lurrus goes to hand. They attack into our Mutavault, though, right here. It's not a common card in Timeless, so I don't blame them for not realizing it. I'm not blocking the Bowmasters here, because if they go land Lurrus, they can just bring it back. So, blocking the Orc army for that reason. Don't think I need the 3rd Chalice on 1, so just going to hold on to that and really wish we can draw a land. And Psychic Frog. Now that is a problem because they can discard a ton of stuff. Like all their useless 1-drops right now can be fed to Psychic Frog. That being said though, we can put a counter on Blast Zone to prepare to nuke their 2-drops. So opponent still is holding up 2 mana and we finally find the next land. So that is really good. One Ring seems really strong, so we're going to keep that on top. This is basically like a mana drain check right here. Like, I wanted to keep Karn the Great Creator, so I'm just throwing out Chalice on 2 just for the heck of it. And the opponent just packs it. They didn't have it, and they knew we had the Blast Zone locked up, so just Chaliced out that Lurrus deck, and we move on to the next one. So, fetch from the opponent, and Faithless Looting. Once again, we have a Chalice handling. I'm realizing from these games, like, Chalice is just insanely powerful. Like, given how, like, lean and efficient Timeless is, you know, all the best cards, like Dark Ritual, Faithless Looting, Brainstorm, like, all that stuff, all get whammied by Chalice. So, I think it's extremely well positioned in Timeless, especially if you could turn 1 it, which we haven't gotten to yet, but... Alright, so opponent's Grixis mana... They passed us, but they don't have blue open, so they're going to let us sneak a Chalice for 1 into play. We know it's at least going to lock out their Faithless Lootings, even the ones that are flashed back. So the opponent is probably cursing their luck right now. The question is, do we play another Chalice on one? Alright, so they're going to bolt and just feed it into Chalice. Now, it could be a misplay, but they could be doing that on purpose. So, there are reasons for them to have cards in their graveyard, for example. Have another chance to play. I end up just playing another Chalice from once again, like, they could theoretically have some way to deal with it, and so this just ensures they have nothing. Fire off, play with fire. Just sending it to their graveyard. They don't get the surveil out of it. Now it becomes clear why they were just spewing off stuff. They're trying to fire up treasure cruise. And they pitch a Phoenix, so the thing is, they can still do the Phoenix thing through Chalices. Like, they can just cast 3 1-mana spells and bring a bunch of Phoenixes back. So, the opponent is just discarding to hand size. So there's already 2 Phoenixes in the bin, which is a way to, like, make things happen. So, they're in a pretty tough spot still, though. But we're going to put small Ugin on the stack, and then they pack it in. So they're probably waiting to see our win condition. They're probably pretty thoroughly locked out. Moving on to the next game, Island from the opponent. There's the Labyrinth, but we don't have the Chalice to try and turn 1 them. So, still, it's our first turn 1 Labyrinth, which is like a little combo with Devourer, since Devourer can find the Labyrinth and then fuel it. So we're going to lead with Guardian Idol and just get it Spell Pierce. So, Chalice would have gotten got by them anyway. Alright, Island pass. So, the opponent, I mean, we know they're packing counters, so we're going to have to adjust our play. Do we want Kozilek's command, though? I decided to keep it because it's so versatile. We don't really know what they're doing yet, and it's an instant, so we can do something on their turn and force them to deal with it. Our opponent misses a land drop. We're up to 4 mana. I'm not going to just slam Karn into like a mana drain right here and just let them go off. So, seems like a pretty good time to like Kozilek's command them on their turn. Our opponent has a Mutavault. Okay. Alright, so they pass to us. I'm just going to fire off an X equals 3 Kozilek's command, just the draw and the Eldrazi Scion modes. And obviously target us with both of them. Just to try and bait out a counter here. Alright, so opponent has hard cast Flare of Denial. Alright, so shields down moment for them. So this is what I wanted to have. So now we can resolve Karn. And the question is, what do we grab? We have Ratchet Bomb, Forsaken Monument. One Ring just seems amazing here. Like, the opponent has us under no pressure. So we had 1 shields down moment. We were able to get a 1 Ring, a Karn into play, and then a Mana Rock. So Thunder Trap Trainer, affectionately nicknamed Otter of Bolus, grabs a Flare Denial. So we know, like, they're locked and loaded to counter something right now. Don't really want the 1 Ring countered if we can help it. So we're going to grab something with Karn right here. I'm going to grab just another extremely threatening card, because if they let this resolve, our mana just goes crazy right here. Alright, so we force their hand. So they're going to Flare of Denial the Forsaken Monument. We're very okay with that. We can't 1 Ring right here, but we can Mind Stone. And we're going to go and pass. So we're still developing our mana. The opponent must have all action in hand. We're still not quite sure what the opponent has going on. They have plenty of counters. Tempted to slam the 1 Ring here. The opponent did not go after us with their Mutavault. It's just going to plus Karn. And I'm thinking about it here, but I end up just passing. Now the reason is we could crack some Mind Stones, or we can crack Inventors Fair, which I decided to do here. It costs a lot of mana. I'm going to do that on their turn and grab an extra copy of the 1 Ring. That way, we're just trying to really overtax their counters. Like, we know their whole hand is stuffed to them. They're not playing any lands. And that was clutch, because 8 mana is going to let us play both rings, potentially. So we're going to start with 1 of the rings. And alright, so they hammer it with Mana Drain. That was sort of expected. That is sort of, you know, it's going to give them a ton to work with next turn. Ugin seems reasonable. I mean, it's something they had to deal with, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that. And yeah, just slam the next copy of the ring. I guess we already had 8 mana, I missed that. And yeah, going to activate the ring. So it's all, you know, fighting against these like heavy counterspell decks, it's all about slipping the right things through their counters. And we're pretty like threat dense deck. Like any Karn the Great Creator, any of our Planeswalkers, any One Ring, any Forsaken Monument is basically a must counter. Even like our jumbo Devourers and stuff. Alright, so they're going to animate One Ring with their Mana Drain and just let the rest go to waste. I was shocked to see them. Like, what is in their hand? Is it literal all Mana Drains? As Karn eats a hit right here, let me know in the comments, what is your favorite colorless Planeswalker? I have, basically all my favorites are in here. I like a couple of the other Karns, but let me know what you think. Alright, so we're going to One Ring here. Attempt to slam small Ugin. Alright, it's going to eat a counter spell. Opponent is prepared to just not let things resolve, but we like, you know, we've managed to make some things happen though.
I must redouble my...
The question is, do we play Ugin's Labyrinth and like play an additional Karn out there? Devourer seems pretty good. I mean, it's just a giant thing they have to deal with. There's no targets for its on-cast ability though, so our opponent just keeps passing back to us. Now they are like severely mana screwed, you know, so like we are definitely exploiting that. All right, Forsaken Monument attempt again, and it's going to eat a mana drain. I mean, we have been feeding them this colorless mana through the mana drain, so there's I don't know what's going on over there. Maybe they have all blue pips or something. Now that the shields are down again, I'm going to stick, you know, one of our huge drops under just to get the mana production up, because we can't land a Forsaken Monument. So I'm going to cash Karn in right here, and I'm going to get Skysovereign. The reason is that we have extra Karns in hand, and their Karns +1 can animate the Skysovereign and just start putting them under a clock at this point. So, all right, so they're gonna get another mana drain infusion. All right, so they're gonna animate Mutavault and not use the rest again. So, all right, so they're just gonna attack us for 2. And here's the Delver's Secret. So it becomes clear to me now that we're playing against mono blue tempo deck, and what happened was that we started slamming must counter threats so early that I'm assuming they couldn't play any of their creatures out because they had to keep the 2 blue mana open for counter spells and mana drains. And so now they're finally trying to like play their threats, and it's like too little too late. All right, so there's a Flare of Denial. So the opponent has like a cool concept going, but yeah, this game just sort of ran away from them. They weren't able to like, what they want to do is stick a threat and then ride counter spells till that threat closes the game. We're going to start locking them out though, so almost, I want Chalices on 1 and 2. And if you're going to ever do that, you need to make sure you put the Chalice on 1 first, otherwise the Chalice for 2 will counter the Chalice on X = 1. So just got to be careful about that. But now we got Chalices on 1 and 2, and you know they like counter spells, you know, so maybe they won't mind Chalices, and yeah, they pack it in. I mean, that was just incredibly fun. How many people did we lock out with Chalice of the Void? That was incredible. This card's super, super strong, and it made me realize I need to be playing this card more. Like, you can just win games on turn 1. We never got the turn 1 Chalice, but you could see how it would just lock out so many decks. This card is nice. And also really loved the whole Devourer of Destiny, Ugin's Labyrinth package, how they work together. Like, this card is really nice. Like, all these Once Upon a Time sort of esque effects are like really cool, and Ugin's Labyrinth just allowing us to like turbo out a ramp piece or something was really, really nice. I was sort of struggling getting this deck to work. Like, I was refining over time, anticipating this 100th video coming out and trying to figure out how to get it work. And I think I had too many Planeswalkers, too few lands. Like, was trying to like, you know, eventually realized I should be like, hey, this would be an amazing Chalice deck. It, you know, wasn't originally in here. and that upgraded it, and eventually Bloomburrow came out and gave us 4 more colorless surveil lands, and like that really unlocked it. Like those 2 main changes like really makes the deck come. You could see like we could tear decks apart with this. It's not invulnerable, like we could still get run over and stuff, but yeah, like there are some other considerations. So it's a tight, you know, only 7 card wish board, but you know, Liquid Metal Coating's a classic one to play with Karn the Great Creator. Sorcerer Spyglass, maybe I feel like it was not super useful. Mystic Forge can rival the One Ring in these kind of decks as far as its card advantage, so like it would be nice, but you know, we only have 7 spots. It is possible to run Dark Rituals in this deck. In order to keep the Forsaken Monument value though, you'd have to run stuff like If Near Deadlands, you know, that's a colorless source and also black source. So it's possible to jam enough in there to get Dark Rituals online. I just think the pure colorless value cards are so much better that it's not worth running Dark Rituals. And you know how much I love Dark Ritual. I play Dark Rituals all the time. So anyway, this is just an extremely fun list. I'm very happy about it. And that's it. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to see even more nonsense, please consider subscribing. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for your support. Your engagement with the channel helps me know what the people want. Thank you.